MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Governor Bullock's plan spells out changes for students when they come back to a reopening school in the fall, including here in Bozeman. I'm Cody Boyer talking once again with the superintendent on how so.
It wasn't planned, but opening a new high school during a pandemic does have a lot of benefits. I'm Annie Johnson with that full story coming up.
Layman Caitlin Corbett, Matt Elwell with you here. A beautiful morning out there, a little brisk in places, but
very brisk in a few places.
Yeah.
Looking at the temperature in West Yellowstone, hasn't changed. 30, our early morning temperature.
What's the old saying? It's not the heat, it's the humidity. And in West Yellowstone, it's simply not the heat.
It's not the heat.
Yeah.
And the lack of humidity.
Yeah.
Temperatures this morning are on the cool side. I do have clear skies for most of the area. You can coin that now.
I will do that.
It's not so much the heat, it's the lack of humidity. Daytime highs should build right around the 80-degree mark as you head into the afternoon.
Wow.
Man, that is beautiful, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Looks like we're going to be dealing with a lot of sunshine for the day, so a little extra sunscreen along the way. We'll talk more about your forecast, of course, coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thanks for that, Matt. Montana's health department is reporting 44 new COVID-19 cases across 12 counties.
State reports include 19 new cases in Gallatin County. Now, the Gallatin City County Health Department reports after the state had one additional new confirmed case. Some previous cases reported had been reassigned to Gallatin County. There are 50 confirmed active cases, no current hospitalizations for Gallatin County. 3 new cases added to Butte Silver Bowl for a total of 23. 12 of those are active. 2 new cases in Madison County to a total of 21, 2 new in Jefferson as well. There are another 8 cases at the Billings Long-Term Care Facility, which brings that total in there to 66. Several late reports in Yellowstone, Bighorn, Lewis, and Clark counties to boost the active case to 548, total to 1,420.
And as more people are testing positive for coronavirus here in Montana, health officials are urging all of us to do what we can to prevent getting or spreading the virus. Young people especially are being urged right now more than ever, with an increase in cases among people less than 40 years old. Now that we've been dealing with the virus for a couple of months, officials are collecting more information which suggests the virus is affecting younger people at a higher rate than before.
So when we started the pandemic in March, we were seeing the median age of cases was about 43 years old. In May and June, the median age of cases had dropped to 28 or 29 years old.
Kelly says the data tells health officials that younger people are having more contact with others instead of continuing to quarantine and following other safety measures.
Also, the Montana University System Healthy Fall Task Force recommending a mask requirement on all state campuses in an effort to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 and return to face-to-face instruction. Montana State University President Dr. Waded Cruzado in her MSU Weekly Update says MSU will follow the guidance when the plan comes out. The University of Montana campus community supports the requirement, which will go to the Commissioner of Higher Education and the Montana Board of Regents. Montana's public universities moved to online-only instruction in late March. In May, many state colleges and universities said they'd return to classroom teaching this fall.
And last week, Governor Steve Bullock announced a reopening plan for schools, introducing the idea to the state of schools having 3 phases of their own. MTN's Cody Boyer shows us how this plan is being discussed among school officials in Bozeman.
When students come back to school this fall, a key word, change. You can see an example of that in the old library here at the old Bozeman High School in the middle of renovation. Now Governor Bullock has a plan for that to happen on paper. And according to the superintendent, change is something they're going to have to get used to.
All these plans are great until you have to implement the plan.
The crumbling site of the old Bozeman High School during its expansion is just one of many changes to come. Superintendent Bob Connor says phase 1 of the governor's plan, the cohort system.
You try to minimize the groups and keep them together as they move through the day. The higher you go up in education, the more difficult it is to keep that controlled environment.
Bullock's Phase 1 also recommends canceling all assemblies and extracurriculars and being ready to close school at the sign of an outbreak.
At least we have a framework from which to work from. Can we have similar expectations? Will that filter down to Manhattan? Will that filter down to some of the other, all the way down to West Yellowstone?
More recommendations call for temperature checks, symptom screenings, and the one we've heard a lot about, masks, something on Connor's mind as case numbers creep back up.
That's a concern because, everybody's saying, well, our numbers are low, but I don't see anybody volunteering to be that next number. I'm wearing a mask to protect you.
The plan goes all the way down to controlling traffic flow, how many kids sit on a bus, and watching for crowding as parents drop off and pick their kids up. Connor says nothing has been decided yet. School officials are considering everything until August 7th. When the changes come, Connor says the school will be ready, including if the plan has to change itself.
That formula of failing forward has been never more put to the test. We're going to make mistakes. As long as we learn from them, it's going to be an unbelievable fall.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
The school board will continue to meet using Zoom up through the beginning of school, which you, the public, can sit in on from home.
In other headlines in education news, a lot of progress has been made at the new Gallatin High School despite the ongoing pandemic. MTN's Annie Johnson talked with the Deputy Superintendent of Bozeman Public Schools, says the district is able to find a lot of positives during this time.
Most people wouldn't start something new during a pandemic. Well, it wasn't planned, but that's exactly what's going to happen with the new Gallatin High School.
It had to slow down a little bit on the various projects, but overall it's been pretty good. I mean, they've stayed on schedule pretty well. We're going to be ready to open.
Education may look very different across the country as everyone navigates learning in the midst of a pandemic. But for a new high school, it won't be as challenging to implement new procedures to keep everyone safe.
It will be easier for Gallatin High School because we'll have about 850 students in this building. It's a 1,500 student school, so a little over 50% of the capacity of the entire building. So it'll be easier for Gallatin High School to be able to provide those separations.
And with hundreds of students at Gallatin High, that means hundreds less at Bozeman High.
Those 850 students will be coming off of the Bozeman High enrollment, which will help. They'll be down to 1,500 or so. And so we didn't change those plans with COVID. It just turned out that it's going to be a benefit.
And speaking of benefits, the pandemic has brought a lot for both schools.
If there are any blessings about the pandemic, it allowed us to get a little earlier start on Bozeman High so that we could get a few things done that were going to be really challenging to do during the summer months before school started, and we had the opportunity to get some of that done. So it actually was a little bit of a blessing for us to get an earlier start on that.
Classes officially start on August 31st of this year. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
In other headlines this morning, a popular downtown Bozeman steakhouse temporarily closed after staff say an employee tested positive for COVID-19. The announcement from Open Range came on its Facebook page and on a note on its door. The employee had not worked and had not been inside the restaurant within the last 7 days, but to be cautious, every staff member at the restaurant was getting tested, and the steakhouse is working with the health department. Open Range says it will be open for business early next week.
Several bars on Main Street in Ennis are also temporarily closed because of COVID concerns. Madison County and the Ennis area in particular have seen a rise in active cases. 2 of the bars have signs that say recent COVID cases have put the community and employees at risk. Another says it's closed for deep cleaning. None of those bars say when they will reopen. I know it's something a lot of people are concerned about. Are we going to see a step backwards? Places starting to close again. It's kind of a
I
point
think
of
that's
confusion.
helping with some of that, is just self-controlling it for a little bit of time and then see where we go from there. So more to follow, obviously.
Yep, we'll keep updating you on that.
For sure.
6:38 now. A new electronic system that can recognize you without being touched will be tested in Denver this summer. Coming up, what it could mean for COVID-19 testing throughout the country. First, though, here's a look at what's coming up on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, as the COVID cases increase, hospitals are being pushed to their limits. We'll take you inside a Texas ICU for a first-hand look at the toll that the virus is taking on hospital workers and the patients there. Also, Former Education Secretary, that's Margaret Spellings, joins us to discuss the impact of the coronavirus on education and the debate over reopening schools this fall. Is it too soon? We'll talk about it. And we'll ask the president of Microsoft about the company's plan to give Americans free training for the most in-demand jobs. Everybody wants a job. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.